Hey, I've got a compilation for you. This is of my scrapbook room. And before we get started, I thought I'd go ahead and share a couple of my scrapbook pages. So, hope you enjoy those. And I will be back again soon with a new video. Thanks so much for watching. Today we are starting a new room. Welcome to the scrapbook room. I have a very specific goal. Bonnie has not arrived yet. I am doing some pre-cleaning because that's what I do when Bonnie comes over. But I'm not doing a lot of pre-cleaning. I have very specific goals here. I have this electric fireplace that helps heat up the scrapbook room when it is cold outside. This room is actually a refurbished garage, so it does get colder in the winter and hotter in the summer than the rest of the house. But, I don't want to get the electric fireplace going until there's actually space around it without, causing a big old fire hazard. That is the goal, is to clean around that. And also there are just some plastic bags on the floor, and I'd like to make the entryway a little bit better so you don't step on a bag and slip to your death. I mean, there are only a couple of steps, but still. You enter this room from the kitchen. You then take 2 steps down and you are in. Now, this room I knew was going to bring up some emotions because I'm not used to being in this room without my little Cupid. That's not to say that he actually liked this room. Neither he nor Clay were really fond of this room, and I'm not sure if it's because of the temperatures. Well, for Cupid, he just would prefer to be sitting on the couch next to me. So I would tempt them in with special treats. They would eat some treats, and then Cupid would usually sit on this puffy pillow in front of the fireplace. The dog treats also were kind of high calorie, so to kind of keep him and Clay interested, I would toss around some Cheerios, and that's probably not the best approach really, but that's what I was doing. Here we have a little bit of a grief pause because I've come across a bunch of Cheerios. My grief is less acute than it was, but I still miss him. And it will just pop up at different times like this. But let's move on. I stopped scrapbooking in this room for a few reasons. One was because I just really had a hard time accessing everything. There is a desk right as you walk into the room. There is a very narrow path to get to the chair in front of the desk. And then there is stuff piled up behind me. There's a bag full of trash that I started and then just didn't finish. I also stopped coming in because of the fireplace issue. And I didn't have a lot of mental energy for scrapbooking, as Cupid needed me to do more and more for him. So I just really let it go and thought, I'll come back to it. I will come back to it later. Well, now it's later. And I'm feeling my feelings, but I'm also getting on with the business of turning this into a place that I can actually be creative and where maybe the dogs can actually, get those comfortable, cozy beds back somewhere. It felt good to be in the scrapbook room again after the bedroom, which has been quite an endeavor, as you know. And here we go, awkward angles. How awkward can I make the angles? I strive for excellence when it comes to making really strange angles. All right. But anyway, I am cleaning up behind, to the left of the fireplace and coming across things. Now, the thing to note is that I don't do much putting away of stuff because there's nowhere to put the stuff. There's no away in this room to be had. Okay, that's not totally true. I have a couple of pockets of organization. There is some, you can kind of see the bins there, and those have some organization to them. There are also some bins that are right next to my desk that are organized-ish as well. But in the midst of all that is all of this stuff, and there is trash, there are boxes, there are things that got moved from the living room, there are some flattened stuffing for dog beds that just need to be discarded. There's all kinds of stuff in this room, along with a million Cheerios. So my goal for where to put stuff is I'm mostly tossing stuff because a lot of the stuff that I'm sweeping up I am just going to toss. Here is Colt, who is going to get into everything. Wait until you see his antics when we do the rest of the scrapbook room. He has not been in this room too much before this. You do have to go through this room to get to the laundry room. So he has followed me in there and then followed me out and then went clutter diving. But for now, my goal is, if I can, to keep things from falling on top of me, apparently. I'm also trying to put things next to each other, so I will move these albums over to where there are some other albums. I'm putting embellishments in that blue bin. It's not a bin, it's a bag. That blue tie-dye pattern bag. There's Colt. Checking things out again. Oh, and I've got a bunch of paper, so I'm sticking that on the paper shelf. So, I'm doing some putting away, but it's pretty... Oh my gosh, that was so funny as I'm talking about, I'm putting some stuff away and all the paper falls. Oh, look, I'm finding more clothes. Yay! Help me. Clothes are the bane of my existence right now, so I'm just pretending they aren't there. Okay, and yeah, so I'm doing some loose organizing, but some things, probably nothing is going to be put in its final place because we're working on all of that stuff. I'm doing an insane amount of sweeping because, there's a lot of stuff on the floor. It's nice to feel like I'm accomplishing something. So I'm busy at work here on this. I knew I wasn't going to do too much as far as pre-cleaning because I learned last time that I just don't want to take away Bonnie's fun. She loves this stuff so much. So she loves to clean and sort, and I'm gonna go ahead and let her do her thing. But I do want to have this fireplace ready for use. And yeah, not to have people slipping and sliding on the plastic bags in the entryway like I've been doing. Got dogs behind me, dogs in front of me. Oh, that's just how I like it, really. I like having little pups around. They help me keep motivated to get up in the morning and do my thing. I'm doing so much better than I was. Hooray for spring. I really do think I have seasonal affective disorder. Is that what it's called? I'm not sure. SAD is the acronym. I always knew that winter kind of brought me down, but this year I really, really kind of saw it. I also had some other things going on too. But anyway, so now the dogs are doing who knows what in the laundry room. And I'm finally picking up those papers that fell, so I'm just going to put them back into place in hopefully a better way. I've got both a trash bag and a recycling one. In addition to the boxes of Cheerios, I have lots and lots of water bottles in this room. Which, of course, you can see some, right? Yeah, they're right there. Okay. Which reminds me, I have been working on making some merch. And there is a design about water bottles because they are a staple of this channel. If the shop is ready by the time that I post this video, then I will link it in the description. If not, it'll be coming soon and I will keep you posted on that. There I go again. So yeah, I scooped up some water bottles and tried to put them into that bag, and it didn't quite work out for me. Now, there I found a rubber stamp. So I thought, let's put it over here. Because I know I had seen the box that it went in. And it will turn up later in this video. I am a scrapbooker and I have a ton of paper. I just can't even. So much paper. It's kind of crazy, to be honest. But what I'm learning is, yeah, I don't need to have everything. I can let go of just the stuff that isn't serving me, the things that don't inspire me, the things, oh, there's my little case, so I'm putting the stamp into the case. Yay! It's a match. My goal for this and every room, every space I have, is to let go of what I don't love, to make room for the things that I do. There are photos of Cupid that I want to scrapbook. I want to scrapbook Colt. I want to keep scrapbooking comments from the community for the community book. I want to get around to using my actual die cutting machines that are buried somewhere in this mess. I want to use other supplies that I have buried and forgotten about. I really thought that the scrap room would be the hardest room, but it hasn't been. Not by far. Maybe Bonnie will have a different idea. I forgot that I did that. Using my broom to re-angle the camera. Well done, Mira. I'm feeling pretty good about what I accomplished here. I did a bit in the morning and then a little bit later in the afternoon. We're getting to the end of the morning session. When I was doing scrapbooking, I would come in the morning right after I woke up, turn on the fireplace, get some breakfast, go about business for a couple hours, and then I would come back in and scrapbook once the room was warmed up. Whee! Yeet! I don't know what that was, but I just yeeted it. I am finding more bits, and yeah, I'm just kind of setting them aside. There is a picture of Cupid and Clay when Clay was a puppy. Oh, so cute. I found 3 great pictures of Cupid in this process, and they made me smile. In other news, there is a photo fundraiser coming next month. Well, coming in April. I'm not sure when this is going to be posted on the channel. So it's coming late April, and I need to get Colt all ready to get his picture taken so he can have his portrait done as well. Wonder if his ear will be normal or wonky. I've now cleaned behind the fireplace and around it, so it's time to kind of clear this little path because, yeah, I do want Bonnie to be able to walk into this room without tripping over stuff. She might trip over stuff in other areas of the room, but let's at least make a little teeny itty bitty pathway, shall we? So that's what I'm doing here. And the boys are mostly watching. Oh. Now, Colt got into this. It's not yarn, it's thread, I guess. It's kind of embroidery thread. But anyway, he got into that, and he comes by that honestly. I think every dog who has lived here has gotten into that. Oh dear. So yeah, I went ahead and set that aside, and Colt's just gotta check things out. Oh my goodness. He is a very, very, very curious dog. What can I say? Time to break out the heavy guns, and I'm bringing over my chair. Now, please note, there's going to be a funny moment where Colt yeets under the chair. He's just like, I'm going to see what's on the other side. So, yeah, I got a kick out of that. I'm not sure at what point that is, but it's here somewhere. There are lots of little bits. Oops, nearly. I scared poor Colt. Lots of little bits for me to clean up. And whenever I end up looking through stuff that I sweep up, I always think about episodes of Hoarders where they would show someone like going through like the grossest stuff ever to find stuff. And I want to say it's not like that. When it is really gross stuff, I will actually just toss it. But there are photos in here, so I did feel like I needed to go through them. And there's just a little bit of dust and dirt on this floor, so it's not too bad. I would prefer not to do it, let's face it. But there are a lot of photos that I don't have digital copies of, so until I get all of that sorted out, I am going to feel some obligation to at least look through what I sweep up. It does make me feel good to have this entryway cleared up some. I do walk through it every time I go to do laundry, so it'll be even better when it's clean. It's really funny to me watching the boys come in and out. I'm not sure what they're thinking. Probably, are you done yet? Have you uncovered any food? And I realize there's some stuff underneath the cabinet, so that's a little bit trickier to get to. There's some stuff on the carpet. There is an area carpet in here. It was here from when I bought the house. Maybe I'll get a flashier one down the road. But yeah, that's kind of a ways out. I think I have other things I would rather do before I do that. And now let's clean this up a little bit. We gotta get this too. I didn't go all the way over to the edge because I was getting tired, and that's okay. I've decided it's okay to be tired. Sometimes I think we're too hard on ourselves and feel like if I don't do all of the complete stairway from side to side, then it's a failure, and I'm not going that way. Oh, and here's a picture of my little Cupid with his friend Nikki. I got Cupid at the animal shelter from the Humane Society at the same day that my friend got her dog Nikki. So they grew up friends. Nikki died kind of young. But yeah, I guess they're together now. So they're hanging out like that in doggy heaven. I am glad he's got his friend with him. And yeah, I found another picture of Cupid. Oh dear, lots of things on the floor. Which, yeah, if you watch my channel, you'll know that that's not really surprising. Looks like there are some cords down there from 2 heating pads that I got for the doggies. Cupid definitely loved his. We are getting to the end here, so let's get to the results in just a moment. I did have 1.5 bags of trash and 1 bag for recycling. I was not able to show them because it was raining outside. I didn't want to put my camera out there. So here's the before. Here is the after. Still with a water bottle in sight. And are you ready? We're going to get going on the rest of the room. Today's postscript focuses on finding something that you love. We all need something that we love. For me, it's scrapbooking. I don't know what it is for you, but make sure that you have something that you love that's just for you, and that you love it as much as Colt loves his new squeaky toy. I am on a mission to declutter my house, and we are going to get started in the scrapbook room, which I call the scrap room for short. I have been scrapbooking for 30 plus years. A little bit surprising to realize that. But I started by pasting my photos into construction paper albums with rubber cement. Just a note, that is not an archival safe way to do it. So I've learned better since then, and I have bought several things in the many, many years since then. I stopped scrapbooking early in 2023 because I just couldn't access all of my supplies, and there was really no place for the dogs either. But we're changing that today. For the most part, I am stationed at this table throughout the video, with a couple of exceptions. And this video starts with me finding a bag of Cupid's beloved treats. And yeah, I did have a little cry fest. Started off the day with tears, but it did go up from here, so that's something. This video is a collaboration with Bonnie from A Beautiful Mess, who came and helped me with this room. I've done other collaborations with Bonnie, so check out that playlist. She's a superhero and a whirlwind. I can't believe how much work she gets done in one day. I wish I had that kind of energy. And I also collaborated with Allie from Real Life with Allie. And I will link to both of their channels in the description below. If their videos about it are posted, I will link to the video itself. If not, I'll link to the channel. Please go and check them both out. They are terrific women, and I'm sure you'll love their channels. If you've watched my channel, it probably won't surprise you that I am a bit of a messy scrapbooker. My workspace is always piled up. Admittedly, it's not always this bad. This is the result of, yes, piled up messy scrapbooking. And also bringing stuff in here from other rooms that need to go in here but can't be put away because it's kind of a big mess. I have talked before about my little pockets of organization, and you do see some of those here. The problem is a lot of these pockets can't be reached, and there's another problem that we'll talk about a bit later in this video. I came across this envelope that reads, "When you're ready." Some people scrapbook about the good things in their life. I do scrapbook about those things, but I also scrapbook about the sad things, the crappy things. And so that envelope contains pictures that I may not necessarily want to scrapbook right away. This envelope contains some pictures from my dad's last days, and when I get my mom's final days and Cupid's final days, those photos developed, those will go in there too. It's just a way to keep those kinds of photos safe without having to open up the envelope and see what's inside. And I know automatically what is in there. The first thing that Bonnie and I do when we see each other is catch up. I feel like I was talking her ear off this first day. I don't know if she feels the same, but I definitely was like, la, la, la. It's always really good to see her and get her thoughts and just chat, see how she's doing. Meanwhile, I did make some headway. I did get some stuff done in here. Slowly but surely, I am going through and seeing what all is here. It's the part of decluttering that I really like, where you're like, oh, I didn't remember I had this, and this is so cool. I did a fair amount of that, and I have to admit that there's a flip side to that too, wherein you find stuff and you're like, why did I even buy that? And I definitely had many of those moments too. But we set up a recycling bin for that, and that definitely got filled up pretty quickly. I found some memorabilia in these piles, some pages that I started but didn't finish, and I do need to finish those. I found a picture of Chris Evans's chest from the first Captain America movie. Someone decorated my workspace with that for my birthday one year. There were lots of photos on the desk. It's going to be great to scrapbook these memories. I just am so excited to dive into them and scrapbooking again. It's been too long. I've done a few projects for you guys actually on camera. I will have that playlist for you. I'm ready to have a good space that is open and clear and usable. My tabletop always gets pretty bad, even when I go and crop elsewhere. A crop is what scrapbookers call like an event where you go to scrapbook together. It doesn't get this bad, of course, in the space of a couple hours, but give me a few days and I will still mess things up. I came across this die cut and decided to slow down the video. You are capable of amazing things. I love that message, and I'm going to carry it with me through the rest of this project. In fact, I think I'm going to put that in our Peeling Away the Clutter scrapbook because that is a great message for all of us. Now, a little note about this room. The scrapbook room is the reason that I chose this house. When I went looking to buy a new house several years ago, I wanted to have one level living, so minimal stairs, a few I could manage, but I couldn't go up and down several levels like I was doing at the previous house. And I wanted to have space for a really big scrap room. I'll never forget when I came here with one of my sisters and my realtor, and we were just talking. I was like, I love so much about this place. I love the location. I love the one level. That's a huge bonus for me. But I was standing in this room and thinking, okay, this is probably the master bedroom because it's the biggest room in the house. And I was saying, oh, I just wish there were a bigger room for scrapbooking. And my realtor said, why don't you set up your scrapbook room in this one and put your bedroom in the other space? And it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh, yes. So I agreed on this house, got myself in, and then the housing market just exploded. So I was so grateful that I got it when I did. That is the story of how I ended up in this house. Now, right there, I just found a little chalkboard, and I might use that for that list that I was talking about, my task list, to help me to keep on keeping on as far as maintenance goes. I slowed down the footage a bit so that you could better see what happens in this little segment here. Keep your eye on the trash bag next to me. I have to admit, I was a little at a loss with how to start this, how to tackle this. I was really glad that Bonnie and Allie were there tackling some of the bigger things, because I was like, should I be micro-organizing at this point? What should I be doing here? And I just basically started by putting things in keep or not keep. I did try to divide a little bit with that as well. Like I would put stamp sets in a certain place. I had a bag for embellishments. I was also putting stuff in the trash. And then the trash started moving. And I was like, what's happening here? And then it became clear what was happening here, which was Colt was trying to get into the trash. That silly guy. He was a crazy boy throughout this whole thing. I know Bonnie got some great footage of his antics, so I finally went ahead and gave him a little bit of love. We are finally at the point where he will let me pick him up. He is not super fond of it, but at the same time, like, he was pretty content to stay on my lap for a bit. He did start getting a little bit squeamish, like, okay, enough of that. And that is when I let him go. But it was nice to have this little moment of dog therapy and some bonding. If you're wondering where Clay was, he spent a lot of time sleeping on this puffy pillow underneath the desk. My dogs have never actually been fond of this room. I think it's because this is a converted garage. The temperatures are definitely more extreme. It is warmer in the summer and cooler in the winter. So I do have a fireplace and a fan, depending on what time of year it is, to help make things more comfortable. The dogs have beds in here, but they are underneath the desk right now. When the room is finished, I would like to find better places for the fireplace and fan and the beds. We'll see if we can figure out something better so that they can be comfortable and cozy in here. I've also secretly wondered if there is like a vortex to hell underneath this room that maybe the dogs are sensing, but I think that's because I watch too many horror movies. The stuff I create in here is far too beautiful for that to be true. Okay, let's talk about my first attempt to clean this room. I moved into this house with a zillion boxes, maybe a zillion and one. And I started thinking, I really want to get professional organizers in here. So I contacted some locals, showed them some photos because I wanted them to know exactly what they were getting into. I didn't want them to show up expecting a more traditional organizing project. They said that they were good to go, and they came. So it was 3 organizers, me, and they came for, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 days. They came, I sorted through stuff, we all organized, and by the end, it wasn't done. That was with 4 of us all together. But I had reached the end of my budget, and I thought I will continue on. A year or so later, I had money to do more, and I thought, you know what? I think I'd really like to do the living room. So we did the living room, and we finished the living room. But the problem was, there was a lot of stuff in there that I wanted to keep, and I didn't have anywhere to put it. So where did it end up? it came into the scrapbook room because that was where I had room to put it. There is a lot of stuff that is still organized in the scrapbook room, as in like different bins of stuff. But as you can imagine, it undid a lot of the work, at least on the floor space. And then in the end, I ended up recluttering the living room, and the scrapbook room got more cluttered again. So here we are. Things don't always work out the first time that you try them. And I'm also ready to let go of more now than I was then. It's now about 5 years since I did that previous attempt with the organizers, and anything is going to be better than what I have now. Honestly, it really is. I have piled up stuff so much that I can barely get into my desk. So having space around the desk is going to be a delight. Having a cleaned off workspace is going to be a delight. Anything else that gets done is going to be a bonus, because really, that's all I want right now. Space for me, space for the pups, space to create, and I'll be good. I'm sitting at my table, and I did work on that, but I also chipped away at things that surrounded me, because I had a lot surrounding me. There is all the stuff that you saw in the living room, boxes, package wrapping, water bottles. There's gotta be a water bottle. There were a lot of scrapbooking supplies on the floor. The table is not flush to the wall. It won't go all the way over to the wall. And so when I would have little avalanches on my table because of all the supplies I had, stuff would spill onto the floor. I'm not super mobile, so I had a difficult time getting to some of that. I need to take the advice that I have gotten from a few videos and use one of those long-handled grabbers so that when things fall down, I can get them again. And in fact, I do have one of those somewhere. Unless I gave it back to my parents, which I might have done. So we'll find out, I guess, at some point if I come across one, or, maybe there's an extra one there that I can take. Not that we want avalanches to continue, but, stuff does fall on the floor, and it's better if I can actually pick it up instead of having to wait for someone to come along and do it for me. I'm also finding a few things that need to go to other rooms, so those are being put over in this little area here. The pile is pretty small now, but I will add to it as we go. This angle is really not the best. Bonnie came there and helped me save a little light. Let's talk about how the room got this way. I've already explained the part about the organizers coming in and then bringing more stuff into the room. But what I haven't talked about are all of the scrapbooking supplies themselves. As I said earlier, I have been scrapbooking for 30 years. In that time, I have made several moves. And with each move, some supplies get lost, misplaced, buried, left in boxes. I like to have a good selection of items to choose from while I'm creating. And at the time, I would think, I need some more supplies. I'm not sure where the rest is. And so I would buy more. Scrapbooking experienced a huge surge of interest from like 2000 to 2004 or so. I was like a kid in a candy store with a ton of money. I didn't have a ton of money, but single with not a lot of expenses. I was just starting off in my adult journey. I guess I should call it my post-college adult journey. There were a lot of new companies coming out with scrapbooking supplies, and I definitely supported them very wholeheartedly. I did have spending limits, but I was really enthralled and entranced by all of the new stuff, and got sucked right into it. I loved that time so much. It was the golden era, and there were message boards everywhere and all kinds of things about scrapbooking, magazines. It was great. I was scrapbooking, and then I would kind of get a little bit burned out, so I would set it aside for a time, and then I would get right back into it. Each time I got back into it, I would think, I need a few new supplies to start things out. It's always fun to play with new things, and that has been a way that I have re-sparked my interest in scrapbooking, and meanwhile, old stuff would get more and more neglected. Don't get me wrong, I did use some of the old supplies. I would mix that older stuff in. There has been a movement for years to scrap your stash, which in this case does not mean toss your stash out. It means scrapbook your pages with your stash. But I wasn't getting paid to scrapbook, so I could never use up the stuff fast enough to balance the stuff that was coming in. Then there was a time from about 2015 on where I was part of a scrapbook kit. Okay, I need to start at the beginning there. My first scrapbook kit was called Club Scrap, and they had these great themed kits, and they were really cool, and they came in, and every now and then I'd use them. But they came every month, and so they piled up and piled up and piled up. The only reason I stopped was because my credit card expired, and when they said, hey, we need new credit card info, I thought to myself, okay, before I start that up again, I really need to use the 20 plus kits that I already have. Then I got kits from a company called Topline Creations. Then I stopped having kits for a while until 2015 when I joined a kit called Felicity Jane Kit and another one called the Messy Box Kit. The Messy Box lasted for a couple of years and then it stopped offering. Felicity Jane stopped business probably a year or so ago. I think it was January of 2023. I definitely enjoyed their kits and would probably want to be getting their kits, but they closed, and that is the end of the monthly kits. But lots of supplies from all of those kits remain. So that's lots of stuff I need to use up or let go. As much as I want to support scrapbooking, it's better for me not to subscribe. When I started getting interested in scrapbooking again in 2015 and subscribed to a couple of kits, I was really feeling low health-wise. I was in and out of the hospital for asthma issues. Those kits and scrapbooking with the supplies gave me something to look forward to, and that's something that I really needed at the time. Let's face it, having something to look forward to is still very much part of my mental health. I just need to find ways to do that are not shopping related or kit related. Instead, I can look forward to activities or shopping from what I already have, which is plenty. I also know that in the latest move, there definitely are some boxes, probably several boxes of supplies that are still hanging out in Mount Doom. That, of course, led to another shopping surge when I moved in here. One thing is absolutely clear, though. I do not need to buy supplies ever again. Maybe I will need adhesive one day down the road, but even that I found a huge stash of. I am still working on just the table. You can see, I'm not sure if that's Bonnie or Allie in the background. But they were there working very, very hard. I'm still piling up things that need to go in different rooms. Every room I have decluttered, I've needed to relocate items. That's just part of the deal. As I clear off more of this table space, though, I will be able to sort through other things. They are, yep, there's Bonnie in the background right behind me. And they are just finding things and putting them in boxes and bins that I have. And then I need to go through them all. I really could have used a clone here, I'll be honest. Just for the sorting part, because that's what I had to do myself. But Bonnie is really better than a clone. And I loved hearing her and Allie talk about, okay, well, what if we try this? Or let's do this. And I just loved hearing about it all. It was awesome. I can't even tell you how grateful I was to have their help, because not everyone has that. Not everyone has a friend or two who can come over and help them work their way through tons and tons of stuff. Now, speaking of work, I worked for a few hours in the morning until lunch, and then after lunch I would rest for a few hours, and then I would work for a few more hours till the last day. I was pretty much dragging on the last day. This is day 2 though, and I still had plenty of steam. And I was actually pretty proud of myself. I felt like I was able to work a bit longer than I had been in the kitchen or bathroom, so that made me happy. Maybe I'm building more stamina, or maybe scrapbooking is just more interesting to me than the kitchen. I don't know. Maybe a combination of both. Now, as you can see, I'm bringing in more paper. I tend to line up paper against the legs of the table, and I don't know why. I don't know why I do this. Okay, a reason just occurred to me. It's because when I get in the creative mode, I don't want to take the time to put anything away. And therefore, when I want to get something off the table and out of the way, I will set it down on one of the table legs on either side of me. Also, there were times when I would place an order and would think, well, I don't want to put this paper where the paper goes, because the paper is actually another pocket of organization, but I would think I want to have a chance to use it before it falls into the great abyss known as my storage. But then it often didn't make it to the storage, and it would just sit in these rows on the floor, and that isn't doing anybody any good either. This angle is pretty good for showing how my table is set up. Right here is some storage, and it's got a few things in it. It has pens on the top. There are some rows that hold ink pads. There's also a couple rows for my adhesive refills. Unfortunately, I kind of feel like I have outgrown this storage. I actually bought a couple of different bins for the pens, and they will turn up at some point. I also feel like I can come up with a better idea for the adhesive refills and then maybe just use that entire storage for ink pads because they kind of spill over everywhere. I have a couple of lamps that use OTT light bulbs to help me with get as much natural lighting as possible, even when the lighting isn't too natural. In other words, at night. Underneath this stuff is my great trimmer. I love it to pieces, but because it's a flat surface, I also pile stuff on top of it. So yeah, that's kind of sad. And it's kind of big too, which is fine. But when I want to, go out to the kitchen or whatever to scrapbook, then I need to take something a little bit more portable. And really, the only reason I'm scrapbooking in the kitchen is because I can't scrapbook in here. But I do need that portable trimmer when I go to crops with friends. This is covered up a bit, but it's a spinning organizer and I keep all kinds of things in it, like all my scissors, some different glitter pens. What else do I keep in there? My adhesive runners, some glue. It's handy to have it right by my side. Now, in front of me, I've got a little hanging, it's like a little coat rack, only instead of coats, I hang rolls of tape or glue dots on it. I've got my lovely aqua bin, which is supposed to hold miscellaneous die cuts. Sometimes when I'm scrapbooking, die cuts don't get put back in the envelope that they're supposed to be in, and when that happens, I just throw them in here. I have too many for that though, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get them back where they need to be, I guess. Here is some storage of acetate pieces, some acrylic pieces, some sequins, some die cuts from Felicity Jane. I keep those here. Just sort of one-off unusual embellishments that I don't have a big grouping of. They just are tucked into the different compartments here. Then I have the big washi tape tower. Washi tape is a whole story of its own. Whew. We may get to that story, but let's move on for now and talk about what I'm doing here. And that is going through piles and piles and piles of paper. So once I sort of cleared away the main space on the desk, I started going through the boxes that Bonnie and Allie prepared so I could go through the stuff and then they could organize after I figured out what I was keeping and what I was not. Now, I started out scrapbooking a long time ago, as I said, and I have a ton of cardstock, and cardstock is like the thicker, heavier paper. It's one color, and I don't really use it. I used to use it more, and then later on, I would use it to just be a more solid backing of my pattern paper, but now I just don't even use it really for that. I kept the white cardstock so that I can do paint and mist and other types of mixed media on it, but 99% of the other paper I just am letting go. Here's my little clay. It's a clay sighting. I was super happy to have him come visit me. So I let go of a lot of the cardstock. I am letting go of paper as well. You can see a stack of paper to my left. That is the paper that I will be keeping and filing. I have a file folder system that works for me pretty well. I have a little filing system that I love, and I got it at Target like at least 20 years ago, maybe more. I have another one that does the job because I grew out of the first one, of course. I am going to have to go through all the paper that is currently in that storage system, but that's a problem for future me. It's tucked away. It's out of sight right now. So we are focusing on the stuff that is just spread out everywhere and not the stuff that is put in a rightful home. Let's talk a little about how I decided what to keep and what to let go. Basically, I would pick it up, and if it was, yes, I love it, I would keep it. If it was, I'm not sure, then I would look at it and I would just ask myself questions. And I would often ask these out loud, like, am I going to use you? No, I'm really not going to use you. So I would put that away in a donate bin. I would look at an item and think, okay, how long have I had this? And why haven't I used it before now? I try to be really honest with myself with this question. An obvious answer is, well, I didn't know I had it. And that was a legitimate reason in some cases, but I really would ask myself the question again, is that really why? Like, are you going to use it now? How do you feel about it now? Would you buy it again right now? This helped me let go of a lot of older stuff. And I tried to be kind of ruthless when it came to stamp sets, because I've had a lot of stamp sets for a lot of years and I rarely stamp on my pages. So I would pore over each set and say, okay, how many of these am I really going to use? How many of these images do I love? And woo, ribbon, here we go. I remember going through and letting go of a bunch of ribbon when I tried to organize this room for the first time with the organizers. And now there's still ribbon that I loved at the time, and some of it I still love, and some of it I'm like, no, I can let go of the whole thing. For those that I loved, many of them were on a roll, and I'm not going to use the full roll. Like, I love this ribbon, but I don't love it enough to go on like 90 projects. I set aside the rolls, and at a future point, I cut off sections that I thought I really would logically and realistically use, and then I let the rest of the roll go. For that big tangled mess, we just put it all in one bag. So it's going to be an untangling project for me while I watch TV. And Bonnie came and brought over these stamps, and I have a whole system, but as I look at it, that system takes up a lot of space, and I don't use very many of these. I use a few. Don't get me wrong. I use a few. I use a few that especially that are more of the sassy sayings that have a little bit of snark with them. I also use a few of the date stamps. This angle gives you a better look at the tree of tapes. And you can kind of see the surface of the large trimmer there too. While I am picking away at the stuff on the table, Allie and Bonnie are both just putting stuff into boxes so that I can sort through them. I forgot to mention that this box holds a large light that will go onto the table and might end up replacing the lamps, or might just contribute to the light with the lamps. We'll see. This is sadly common for me, and you see this really in most rooms of the house. I will buy something and then it'll sit in the box or the bag for a while until I finally am able to make space for it, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. Sometimes buying has more of a dopamine hit than the actual opening. Kind of sad to think about. Even so, though, it's important to think about because I definitely want to do things differently. I am now exploring a new box that has stuff in it. Well, when I say new, I mean they just handed it to me. It wasn't unopened or anything. It has lots of things that were shoved into it. Some of this was probably just gathered from lots of different rooms. I don't even know. All sorts of stuff I found. There's a little cross stitch that I did many years ago. I found some other memorabilia, some old pictures. The title to a car that I no longer own. Yeah, I remember having to pay to get a new replacement title when I sold that. Nice. Here are some additional scrapbooking things. So some stickers I let go of. I have a thing for sticker books. I love them to pieces, but I realized that some of those were kind of old and really had not been used. So I just need to let go. Needed to let go. Oh, and here we have part of my autograph collection. Have I mentioned my autograph collection before? Let's see. It started after college, and I wrote to a bunch of celebrities and would include an envelope with postage so they could send me back an autograph. And I got lots of autographs. It's not the biggest or best collection out there, but I had fun doing it, and I would like to display it at some point. That'd be nice. I separated all of the autographs out so they can be held separately from everything else. And look, I found a photo frame from Target with the receipt. Do you think they'll let me return it? It's from 2001. Actually, I'm not going to even try. I'm just donating it. It's really not my style. It was my style in 2001, but no more. More autographs. Now I'm finding like old school work. Now there's a bag of trash over here, and a little someone keeps trying to get into it because it has a 2-year-old dog cookie in it. So yes, my little Colt was trying his hardest to get in there, and I'm slowing down so you can witness some of his attempts. Enjoy. I do not know how to tell you how determined this dog is. When he wants something, he puts his whole heart and his whole body into it. He's going to be a real good dog someday. Right now, he still needs some training. So, I mean, he's a really good dog. Don't get me wrong. But his manners are a work in progress. Right now, I am trying to teach him not to paw at my face when he wants my attention. He used to paw at my feet, but I got heavier shoes, and now he's like all switched to the face. So at this rate, I may need a football helmet. I love him though, so we're working through all of it. There were a lot of non-scrapbooking things in this box, and a few that were actually related to scrapbooking. Now here's where I am doing that ribbon cutting. I have all of these rolls and I'm cutting enough for me to get some use and enjoyment out of those on future projects. And then I'm letting the rest of the rolls go. I was singing Elsa's epic refrain through a lot of my sorting sessions. And look at these templates. My gosh, some of them are so old. And when I am setting them behind me like that, those are the ones that I am letting go. So I got rid of about half of those. That's pretty good. And here comes another box. There's a clay sighting. I had to keep that footage of my little cutie in the video. He was on the landing for a fair amount of time. As I've mentioned before, he doesn't really like this room, so he would watch from there. I guess he was taking a supervisory role, but he'd come in a bit, and when he did, he would usually be on a puffy pillow under the desk, under this table here. I've got a fresh box that I'm going through, lots of paper, and the paper that is going next to me on the left is the paper I am keeping. There's also a stack of paper scraps. It is time to make some confessions. First of all, I have a paper problem. I love pattern paper, and there are so many great papers out there, but I did let go of some. You can see when I'm shifting to the right and moving them there, I am putting them in the donate bin. So I was pretty pleased of myself for that. Here is my other confession. I made a mistake in how I approached this room. There is one me, and me needed to be making sorting decisions from the very beginning. By starting out at the table, I felt a little bit like I was just going into standard crafting mode, and I was just puttering, doing things, and really organizing or setting things aside on more of a micro level. I did do some sorting that needed to be done, yes, but I really feel like I should have tackled the table last and just started diving into boxes that were around. I should have just sat in my good old blue chair, sorted through some boxes where they were, or set up a little corner where they would put the boxes together and I would sort. I feel like that would have been a better use of my time and ultimately their time. But my brain's got problems when it comes to organizing, so I didn't think that through. And looking back, I really wish I had. I feel like I became a bit of a bottleneck because there's only so much that they can do if they don't know if the stuff is staying or not. I can't go back in time, and I'm just going to have to keep on pressing forward. But I just want to let you know now that we do not end up with a perfectly clean scrapbook room at the end of today's video. And that's pretty much the reason why. To anyone who is doing a big room or just any room, but is doing it with other people, I definitely recommend that you set up a sorting station where whoever needs to make the decisions can go through stuff and make those decisions, while the others can easily address what is in the keep pile. That is my advice to you, and also to future me, because future me needs to do a lot more sorting in this room before it will really be done. And here are a bunch of old stickers from Club Scrap. Remember, as I reach to my right, kind of over my shoulder, that is what I am letting go. And I let go of several of those. They've been in there for a while, and I haven't touched them. And this is where the germ of realization starts. It didn't fully hit me until day 4, but it really did start here, and we are in day 3 right now. But as I let go of items that I got in those Club Scrap kits, I started to realize that I'm letting go of items from like 10 or 15 years ago right now. And in another 5 years, am I going to let go of items from other kits? And then I was truly struck by the number of supplies that I really have. It was easy for me to get them before because I couldn't find my other stuff, or I didn't know where it was. And maybe I wanted some new items to spark my creativity, because that always helps too. Besides, scrapbooking supplies are not that big, right? It's not that significant to get some stickers or get an inch deep of pattern paper. I had all the excuses in the world to buy, and I did scrapbook with them. I mean, I'm not going to say that I did absolutely nothing with them, but there are a lot of supplies that are truly untouched, that I haven't used even part of it. Some stuff that I bought 10 years ago, I am happy to still use anyway, but there's a lot of other stuff that is no longer my style. When I think 10 years ago, I would scrapbook with stuff and I didn't care what era it came from. But as time passed, I came to look at my supplies and think, oh, wow, that's really dated. And I just didn't have that same excitement about working with that. I need to get this room back into a usable place with supplies that I absolutely love and am excited to use, and I need not buy anymore. There is plenty in my stash that I'm still excited to work with, so I need to get busy, get going on this. Oh, and there's my little man, little Colt. He's got a paintbrush there. He was having the craziest adventures in this room while the rest of us were working ourselves to exhaustion. Oh, heavens. If I could even have a fourth of that boy's energy, I would be in such great shape. I cannot even tell you. He's going to be 2 next month in May, but I don't see him calming down anytime soon. Huge shout out to you if you are still watching this video. It's been a long one, and there's not really a full-fledged before and after shot, but I hope you'll come back for the next segment next week, where you will see where we ended up. There are a lot more realizations and sorting sessions to come. Another shout out to Bonnie from A Beautiful Mess and Allie from Real Life with Allie. Big thanks for helping me with this room. I absolutely could not have done it without you. This room was absolutely a team effort. Bonnie also went above and beyond. She took a bunch of my clothes home one day so that she could bring it back folded the next time she came. She also took stacks and stacks of my scrapbook pages so she could put them in chronological order for me to put into albums, which is going to be such a huge help. She also took paper home to sort paper into stacks by color. This woman, I just do not know where she came from except from heaven. She is absolutely heaven sent. I've got some sorting to do, so that's where we'll pick up next time. In the meantime, enjoy some doggy antics. I don't even. What are you doing? You trying to get to the doggy treats? Ah! Leave the papers alone, please. Oh dear. A minute ago he was chewing on this chair, which to admit was broken already. Like, he didn't break that spot. I've been wanting a new chair anyway, but... Look, there's my baby. There's Clay. Follow his example of good behavior, my love. Oh, did you find a chew? You did. Good boy. Get cozy. All right, where's Clay going? Are you following his bad example? Come here, Clay, and get cozy. You want to get cozy? Hi, there's Mingy. And Clay, of course. Don't mind his moles. He has been seen by the vet. You want to get cozy? Go get cozy, love. No, they're too busy. They gotta inspect this stuff. And it's clutter peeling time, baby! We are back in the scrapbook room. If you missed the first installment, I will link to that in the description so you can make sure you check that out. This is also a collaboration with Bonnie from A Beautiful Mess and Allie from Real Life with Allie. If you hear any crinkles in the background, those are courtesy of Colt. Oh my goodness, did you see that? I just tucked a poster by the paper scraps because I wasn't ready to make a decision. So, yeah, that's how things are going here. Colt is on his post-dinner tear where he roams around the house finding things to get into. And unfortunately, I have things for him to get into. This boy is something else, I tell ya. Let's slow this down so you can take a look at the copyright. This is some old stuff I've got. Old and new. Alright, let's go back just a little ways to me squirreling away my little poster. That is not ideal, of course. But I'm making a lot of decisions in this room, and it's okay for me to need to do something for later. That's why future me exists. She's going to solve that problem at some point, but it won't be now. I've got a fresh stack of cardstock that I need to go through. All of it is quite old, and 90% of it is going to be donated. And anything that I am turning to the right to tuck behind me is going to donation. I've got this pile, and that is the stuff that is staying. This red cardstock, I don't know if I really needed it, but my gosh, it had a really cool, smooth texture. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep it for the texture alone. Anyone else do that? Or is it just me? Did I mention that I am working in my scrapbook room? I'm not sure if I've mentioned that yet in this video. More paper. So that is what I'm doing. I am going through all of my supplies. I gotta clean some stuff out, move some stuff off the premises so that I can get back to scrapbooking in a room full of supplies that I want to use and will use. I need some organization in my life for sure. And organization isn't my strong suit, so that's where Bonnie and Allie come in. It's making me happy to think about other people being able to use the supplies that have been languishing in my stash for years, because I just wasn't ready to accept that I wouldn't use them. That's why I'm letting go. I'm letting go of the supplies. I'm letting go of ideas about the kind of crafter that I thought I was. Letting go of the idea that maybe I'll use this someday, even though I look at the item and think, I don't really want to use this. One thing that I can get stuck in is thinking, this is how much money I spent on an item. And I try not to go too far down that road. The money is spent. I can't get it back. Sure, I can sell some supplies, but they won't go for full value, so I needn't think that I am going to recoup that whole cost. But like I said, the money is spent. But the question is, would I spend that money now? Do I like this item enough to buy it again? I found that question to be very helpful in the process of deciding what to keep and what to let go. If the answer was maybe, then I let it go. Another question that helped me was, if this were gone right this second, would you miss it? Will I miss it? I had to admit to myself over and over again that in many cases, I wouldn't miss that item. I wouldn't miss it. So the question became, do I want items that I won't miss, or do I want the space? You can probably guess the answer, but I'll also tell you, the space is more important. These were some of the questions that I asked myself throughout the process, and it did help me keep going, which is good because I have some epic sorting to do. Let us begin. I decided to get up from the desk, and now I'm sitting on my old faithful blue chair and going through some bags that needed to be sorted. Woo! And I'm all by myself. Don't wanna be. But anyway, Allie and Bonnie had gone, and it was time for me to do a bunch more sorting. So the bins on the left are the things I'm keeping. The ones on the right are things I'm letting go. Here are a bunch of alphabets, and I am going to have a separate video where I go through all of my alphabets because I don't even know how I ended up with so many. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that I could, put them down and they would go around the whole earth, but they might go across the US. I don't know. I have a lot of alphabets. I'm very sorry that this footage is blurry. I'm not sure what my camera decided to focus on, but maybe it was lost without a face? I don't know. So weird. Here we have more paper sorting. Just like water bottles, there will always be more paper. Sad but true. Or, I don't know, I kind of like pattern papers, so I guess it's not so sad. But I do hope to finish going through it someday. I loved that Bonnie had set up these bins. They are right behind the chair where I was sitting, and so I just had to sit down, go through them, knock them all out. Ah, flowers. Flowers were a scrapbooking craze in like 2015 or so, and I got into the craze too, and then I got out of it pretty fast. I am not totally sure why. You'd think I'd really like them because they're dimensional, they're kind of fun, they're different, but yeah, I think I just kind of got a little tired of them. When I came across them here, I went ahead and let a bunch go. Like I would say way more than half. That made me pretty happy. I tried to stay focused on my goal, which is letting the stuff I don't love go so that the stuff I do love has lots of room and there's room for me too. Looking at some of those flowers took me back to some scrapbooking expos that I went to, and I would get all these great deals, but you know, the deals are only so good as the supplies that you get, right? So if you get 5 sets of flowers for X amount of dollars, I can't even remember how much they were, but you only love 2 of them, is it such a great deal? And they always did this thing where you had to pay like the full sale price if you didn't get all 5, for instance. That's how they get you. I also let go of a lot of embellishments that you have to kind of punch out. They are connected via tabs, but they're just such a pain, and I have so many other die cuts, so I thought I'll let those go too. I decided I needed a couple of clear bins. This is because I am a butterfly. This is the style of organization that is best for me, and I will link to the quiz you can take to find out what your organizing style is. If you know yours, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Clear bins all the way, baby. That's for me. I got these bins for my page kits, and let me tell you what page kits are. I use them especially at crops. I will pull, sometimes I'll get a photo with it, but sometimes I'll just start with the paper, and I'll put 4 or 5 different papers together that I feel like they coordinate. Now, a full page kit will have embellishments with it, so I'll throw in some stickers, some flowers, some buttons, or whatever else I feel like might go with it. I'll add a few alphabets, and ta-da! I have everything I need to make a scrapbook page, whether I am at a retreat or whether I just want to stay home but don't really want to think too hard about putting the page together. I've put together dozens of these page kits, and as I mentioned, some of them have photos, most of them don't. I made a bunch because I wanted to be prepared if I ever did another retreat. That kind of died when COVID came around. I'm hoping to get out to one again soon. Well, I don't know how soon, but someday. And then I kept making them because they were kind of fun to make. It was fun to take one piece of paper and be like, okay, I'm going to see what I can put together with this. And that got to be fun. I started using page kits here at home when I would scrapbook. And then after a while, I felt a little too restricted with them. But I'm not going to put them back or throw them out or anything. They'll still be useful for when I need to go out cropping, or as I said, just don't want to spend too much time finding supplies that coordinate. But I wanted to put all of my kits together in one bin and have it be a little bit more sturdy. I also got a bunch of more sturdy envelopes to put them in. They were in just kind of baggy type things with a zip across the top. So, I decided that I will do the swapping out at a future point, because right now I am very focused on where I need to spend my time, and that is on sorting. I need to do as much sorting as possible because, there's still a lot of stuff to go through. I am going to leave that task, switching out the baggies for the envelopes, to future me. It's not a hard task, but just time consuming, and I have better things to do right now, which is still going through paper. It's funny because I am of course aware at the time that I go through the paper that I have a lot of paper, but it's kind of hidden in a different way as I am editing this, thinking, now, how many segments have I done of me editing paper? I don't want to know. I think there are just going to be some things that are just the main staples of each room. Like one room, it's t-shirts and leggings. I'm never going to stop finding them until I go through all of the boxes of doom. In the living room, I guess it was just water bottles. And in the scrap room, it is paper. Well, this is round one. I'm telling myself I'm sure I will let go of more as time passes. Now, because of the amount of stuff I am letting go of, the boxes are piling up here. I am thinking about doing a crafting yard sale. Lots of people in my area love to scrapbook and make cards or other things, so I feel like that might be beneficial. At least it would cut down on the boxes that I need to take to donation. It would need to be soon though, because nobody has got space to hold a bunch of boxes for any extended period of time. Right now they're out on the kitchen table and I want my table back. If I do a yard sale, I will definitely film some and let you know how things go. But let's get back to this. It is day 4. Bonnie is back and I was dragging around my sorry self all day. I don't really know what it was. I just wasn't feeling the greatest. I wasn't sick or anything, but I just wasn't feeling up to my usual self. I cut out several segments because I am just kind of staring in a stupor. And this is also the day when a lot of realizations started hitting me. I talked about one of them in the last video, but I do want to just mention it again, and that is that I kind of realized that I just keep doing this pattern of I will go through my products and let go of a bunch of stuff from 10 or 15 years ago, and then the cycle just repeats. And that led me to realize how many supplies that I really have. It's a lot, y'all. And I recognize that it's a lot. A part of me really thought that maybe I would be able to go through the supplies, set aside a bunch that I could let go of, and then I would easily, keep in mind, easily be able to put the room back together somehow with Bonnie's help, definitely. But somehow we'd be able to put everything back together and it would all be fine. But I realized that it was not going to be as simple as I thought. That's where I struggled a bit in the master bedroom as well. But it's just a recurring theme, and what it's really showing me is the super overabundance of my stuff. I knew I had an abundance. I knew I had an overabundance, but I didn't think it was a mega overabundance. But that's really where we are. For years, I have thought I would have this scrap room. It would be, a lot of it would be contained in this big room, but I would still have another section in the laundry room that would have like the sewing machine, the typewriter, maybe my die cutting machine, and all of that would spill over into that room, but there would still be room left in there for other things as well. Maybe that will still happen. I don't know. But I think my end goal needs to be having everything in this room as far as scrapbooking goes. Even the typewriter, even the sewing machine, everything. But also that's something that I will be working toward. It's not something that will be all perfect after one session, after one round, but I really learned that I am going to have more rounds to come. And I mean, part of me, I guess, sort of knew that because that's the case with everything else in the house. This is round one. But there's that part of me that has had a certain idea in my mind of how things were going to go. And I've had that idea since I got this house. And sometimes it's hard to let go of that idea. Sometimes it feels like it was part of a dream. And letting go of dreams is hard. It is hard work. Especially when you put a lot of time and energy and effort into that dream, and then you look around and you're going through the 50,000th pile of paper and you realize that the storage that you had for stickers is overflowing, and you know that you're not through with sticker sorting. There is more and more of those to come as well. And it's just hard when you have an idea in your mind of how much you'll need to let go of, and you realize that you're going to need to let go of more. Maybe even a lot more. This message really kept being reinforced throughout the day because it turns out I have outgrown many of my pockets of organization. As someone who is chronically disorganized, I am proud of my little pocket. These pockets mean that even when I am surrounded by boxes and water bottles, I have bins where my stickers are supposed to go. In the past, they have fit in those places. I mean, maybe a little tightly at times, true, but they have fit. But now I'm uncovering more supplies, and in some cases, in some categories, many more supplies. And I hear what some of you are saying, or at least thinking, which is that this is the beauty of the container concept. You have a container and you let go of whatever does not fit into it. This is a difficult concept for someone who is always a little extra, always seems to have a little extra. But this is my scrap room, y'all. I'm struggling. There is a place in this room for more storage, and I've always wanted it to be more storage. Right now, there is a huge desk that's in the way, and that desk is not going to be able to come out of the way until all of the boxes of doom are out of the laundry room. This was my last burst of energy on day 4. It was after lunch, and I remember I just didn't feel well, and I took a little nap and still didn't feel well. So I laid down some more. It's a rough day, that's all I can say. And I finally started feeling a bit better, and so I thought, let's do it. Let's make this last push. And that's what I did. Right now, I am getting a bunch of cords together. I need cords. I already have a whole bag of cords. But I'm glad I have that bag because I have needed to go back and find a few. So I'm keeping the bag of cords until this whole house is done and I have figured out if any of my items are missing more cords. There is still more that got unburied, and so I am figuring it all out, doing my best to really get this clean. I slowed this footage down so you could hear me and Bonnie talk a little bit, and also there are some kind of cool sounds when we are putting stuff back on the shelf here.
Yeah, like the color across there. Oh, some of them do.
Yeah, some of them have it and some of them don't.
Do you want me to put the ones up there that have
Sure.
Okay. Oh, why does that not
They have
fit?
to go in the rows in between.
Oh, why does... Oh, because... I see. Okay, so... But this one can go down probably there.
Yep.
Oh, most of them are labeled. Let's see that. I'm like right in front of your camera.
I could listen to the clicking sound of those ink pads going on the shelves like for hours. But then I do like ASMR. Bonnie and I were talking about how some of my ink pads have labels on the side and then some don't, because at some point I misplaced my labeler. I talked about this storage in the last video about the scrapbook room. I didn't realize it at the time, but I talked about how there is a lot of outgrowing of this particular storage piece, so I want to kind of focus it a little bit more so it's just ink pads. And we are stopping again because here is a little guest. It's Colt, who is still after that 2-year-old cookie that is in that trash bag. Poor guy. He is just trying to live his best life, and I keep coming in and ruining it. Poor kid. At the time, Bonnie and I were thinking this was our last day in this room for at least a month or so. And I was really pushing to try and finish the table. I'm happy to say that her schedule freed up, so we are going to be able to have another day. That is pretty cool, but anyway, you'll just see me start wading through some of these piles on the table. Now I put down some sticker books because I realize I don't use them that much, but they do have stickers that I really like in them. The stickers are just a little bit smaller than I would like, but I think they would be perfect for the peeling away the clutter scrapbooks. So I'm going to put them with the scrapbook supplies. For that book, not that I'm going to limit myself, I can use whatever supplies I want to with that book. But I'm going to show you in a separate video me putting together a little kit just to make things more portable so I can take it into the living room while I want to watch TV and work on the book then. I have a couple of ideas for storage that might be interim storage while I continue to go through products. Maybe I will create new pockets of organization. I know that our hope and plan is to get the scrap room whipped into some kind of shape that I can use it and make full use of as many of the supplies that I have as possible. But as I mentioned before, this room will not be able to be complete until I can shift the desk into the other room and set up a little bit more storage in this one. What I'm doing right now is going through that aqua basket that has lots of just miscellaneous die cuts, and I'm seeing if there are anything that I can split up and put somewhere else, because if that basket is totally jam-packed, it makes it really hard to go through the items in it. So I was able to weed out some items, and that helped. I have still got more desk clearing to do, and I did find that I had a lot more more footage of me sitting around trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. I think it was because all of these realizations that I've talked about, they didn't come kind of like peacefully throughout the week in a very calm and mellow way. No, they all pretty much hit me on day 4. And maybe that is part of why I wasn't feeling so good. Epiphanies are helpful and sometimes even life-altering, but they aren't always easy. They just aren't. Hi, Colt. Another little visit. Clay was under the desk on his puffy pillow. I remember that Bonnie got a really cute picture of him, so I'm sure that will turn up in one of her videos. But that's why he wasn't in this video. He was getting his own much-needed rest. I've always had a lot of respect for Bonnie, but I just watched her first video on this. Whoa! Like, not only did she do a huge amount, which, I mean, I knew she did, but she was working behind me, so I wasn't seeing it, like, in process. So that part was amazing, just being able to see, like, all of what she did. And then on top of it, to bring all of that footage together and tell a story the way that she does, it's just, I'm in awe, really. I am never dealing with as much footage as she is, but I had a lot of footage for this and it was hard. And really, in a lot of ways, all I did was just keep speeding up the footage. So, mad respect and just love for Bonnie. I just can't even say it enough. I'm about to get up and shuffle my way over. It looks like a shuffle because of the speed. And I had Colt and Clay's attention because I grabbed a bag of their dog treats. At the same time, I grabbed some other stuff. Trying to teach Colt to not pounce on his brother when he's trying to get toward me. Work in progress. Progress, not perfection. I grabbed those sticker books off the table and put them with the rest of my supplies that I am going to use for my little travel kit, travel scrapping kit. And I brought over a new batch of stuff. And here's where I really start kicking up the high gear, and I am letting more stuff go. Check out this one. This one's been in my stash forever. And yeah, I'm keeping it. Why am I like this? In general, I found that I was letting go more of the older products, but every now and then I'd do a switcheroo where I'd come across a batch of new and I'd be like, I'm not sure why we got this. I came across another page kit. So many different things. And as I was going through, I just kept putting things that I am keeping in the box to the right. As that box filled, I started thinking, should I start on micro-organizing at this point yet, or not so much? At first, I really just thought, never mind. It's all good. I'm just going to keep on going. There, I came across some of the oldest supplies in my collection. Hallmark stickers. Oh, it really took me back. It took me back in time. I remember going to Hallmark to get more supplies for scrapbooking. This was before there were scrapbook stores and scrapbook magazines. I am going to let those go. I can't really imagine how I would use them now. It's funny how the old stuff is mixed in with more new stuff. But let's be honest, a lot of this stuff is older. And more alphabets. That is going to be an epic sorting video. I'm letting go of collage-y looking stickers. Just aren't really my style. Some old alphabet stickers I even let go of. I'm like, they've been in my stash forever. They don't even need to wait till we get to that epic, the epic sort. I'm just going to let go of them now because I know I don't want them. Some memorabilia, more paper. Yeah, always more paper. And then I thought, wait, let's go ahead and separate out the scraps, since I do store them separately from the full sheets. I'm going to do a paper sorting video as well, because I'm sorting paper now, but I do have a bunch of paper in the file folders, and that needs to be gone through as well. And we are about to embark on the garbage bag tug of war. I don't know why Colt loves garbage bags so much. It's so funny. Oh, it cracks me up. Pets have their personalities and their quirks. Cupid loved chewing on cardboard, and I made a scrapbook page about that. So I'm sure I'm ultimately going to end up doing a scrapbook page about Colt's love of garbage bags. Which I understand if there's a 2-year-old dog cookie in there, but when it's just a plain old garbage bag with nothing food related in it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached a very important stage. We are starting day 5. Yay! This is when I finally started to feel like I could see my way clear to the end of this project. Is there still a lot to do? Yes. Do I feel like we can do it? Also, yes. We are getting to the micro-organizing. I found a bunch of really cool bins at Target, and I'm using those to sort into. I'm about to point out one of my biggest regrets. I try not to have regret because it really doesn't help in the long run, but I will just accept that I have learned a valuable lesson in this. I bought this binder several years ago, and every month I would get new pages to put in the binder, and I don't even know if I have flipped through this binder. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to give it away, let alone sell it. But facts are facts. I'm not going to recoup the cost. I'm not losing the money now by giving it away. I lost the money when I actually spent it on the item. The money is long gone. Time for it to go out. And I've got lots of other things to sort through in the meantime, so let's just get going on that. I've got some sheets that go in a planner that I have. I'm not sure if I want to keep the planner or not, but I thought I'd at least keep them together. So if I let them go, they can all go together. I've got lots of die cuts, envelopes, more envelopes, some transparent embellishments, more alphabets. Ooh, alphabets, man. I do not even know how many times I have bought an alphabet thinking you can never have too many alphabets. Yeah, there can be too many alphabets. There really, really can. If I ever buy another alphabet, there had better be unicorns and gold and gems shooting out of it. Otherwise, I have any possible alphabet I could ever need. I've decided to use this cute little bin on my desk to hold adhesive, or maybe it'll be near my desk. Part of my problem has been that I have always wanted to have the supplies I use most right next to me, but there's only so much space right next to me. And I have so many supplies. So I've decided I'm going to take a new approach to my scrapbooking. I'm going to get a basket. I'm going to make a circle of the room and say, okay, here's the photo I'm using. This might look good with this. this might also look good with this, and I'll just circle the room, find supplies that I think I might like, and then whatever doesn't work out, I'm going to have a separate basket that is right by my desk, and I can put the items I don't use in this basket, also known as not just put it in a pile on my table, and then I will, at the end of my crafting, I will take the basket and put the supplies back where they belong. My new goal. I don't expect to have a perfect tabletop. I'm gonna face facts. I'm a little bit cluttery, sometimes more than a little bit, but I'm striving to improve. And I am really excited about this new idea and about the idea of keeping it real. Like, one of the things that I have always wanted to do on this channel is keep things real. So I'm facing facts. I'm not going to have that cute little scrapbook space where I can just reach everything from my desk. Nope. I have too many supplies for that. I've been scrapbooking too long for that. But I can have a space where I make the supplies work for me, and I make full use of my supplies. And I actually use some of the things that I have bought, such as all of these chipboard alphabets. This bin was overflowing. I initially thought, I went through this a few years ago. I probably won't find too many more to let go, but let's see what I can do. And you know what? I am getting better at being realistic about what I'll use. And again, this is still a first pass, so I'll probably let go of more down the road, but I let go of a lot more than I thought I would. Unfortunately, my sell/donate bin is behind me, so you can't see everything that I'm putting in it right now. The box next to me is stuff that I am keeping, and so now I'm just putting it all back in. And I went from an overflowing basket to a basket with some space in it. Am I planning to fill that space up? Nope. I don't need more chipboard alphabets. I want to use them up. So I'm moving on. This cute little basket, I guess it's a bin, is one that has lots of pocket page cards in it. It's my first pocket page storage, and it came over in the move and got buried behind a bunch of stuff, so it never actually made it to the rest of the pocket page cards that kind of grew when I came over here. Oh geez. So I'm finally doing that, and I'm separating things out. I use tags separately, so I'm setting aside tags. I have a separate place for labels, so I am moving the labels. I'm putting all the pocket page cards together, and I let go of a bunch of these too. I am continuing with the pocket page cards while Bonnie is doing all sorts of stuff, running rings around me in energy as usual. I love her. She's the best. Now, I've decided to basically get rid of like 95% of the cards that have rounded edges. Maybe it's weird to let go of the rounded edges one, but I just don't love that look. Those cards just languish with me, so it's time to just let them go. I started the voiceover for this video about a week ago, and it's funny how as time has passed, I have kind of changed a little bit. I'm a little bit more positive. I don't feel like I need to let go of 98 million more things in order to make this a workable room, and that has given me energy and motivation. I am still going to continue to go through all of my supplies because I want the items that I keep to have a little bit of breathing room, which might sound a little weird, but again, it's just making sure that the stuff that I don't use goes so that I can more easily find the items that I will use. And I find that it's quite helpful to think about the supplies going to someone who will enjoy them, someone who will appreciate them. I'm super curious about when you donate or sell items, do you think about that? Like how the supplies will go somewhere where they will be used? Or do you not really think too much about that and are just like, let's get the item out of the house. I don't need to worry about where it goes. There's no right or wrong there. I'm just curious. Now I am basically sorting them even further. I'm sorting them into the ones that are the right size and shape to go in with the other pocket page cards. There's also some that are smaller or just kind of different shapes, and I'll put those in with some labels. And then I've got a pile of tags and then a pile of stuff that I am letting go. Somewhere in this time frame, Bonnie looked over at me and was like, "You are really starting to fade a little bit." and that's when I realized that I hadn't really eaten today. So, yeah, lunch, and then my nap. Bless her. I love how non-judgmental she is. She just lets me go and take my breaks or take my nap and keeps on going. We learned a while ago, though, that Colt does not like it when the door is closed to the scrapbook room when he's not in there. So we leave the door open, but even though he stays with me usually. Oh, funny guy. So here I am finishing off this particular one, and here's a bin that can be used for something else or donated. It's pretty small, so I'm not sure what I would use it for, but I'm going to keep it around just until the room is finished, because you just never know. Maybe something will pop up and I'll say, oh, that bin is the perfect size. Meanwhile, Bonnie has found some more stuff for me to sort. Now I'm starting up again, and Bonnie had set up this whole sorting station, which is awesome. I love it so much. This was going to be my die cutting tower, or my die cut, not the die cutting, because the machines are going to go somewhere else. But the die cuts themselves are going to go on this tower eventually. And I love how she set it up. And it's awesome. She had this whole sorting station set up for me. I don't know. Bonnie's just a miracle worker. And like, she has the most amazing connections. Like when she arrived in the morning, she's like, well, I met up with this person and she had a bunch of the bins from her scrapbook room that she doesn't need anymore. So she brought like a whole porch full of bins and brought them in as we needed them. It was so awesome. Here I am realizing that I have way too many doilies. Doilies are another item where I was like, oh, I can always use a doily. Well, maybe I can use them, but I really need to use them more because I have a whole like compartment full of doilies. One of my scrapbook buddies is a big fan of doilies, so I'll have to show her this bin and say, haha, do you have as many as I do? Oh, shoot. I am sorting things into these new containers that I got, and they are not clear, but the cool thing is that the items stick up out of them so that I can see what they are. So it's the next best thing to having a clear bin here. And I bought a bunch of these. I'll return whatever I don't use, but I kind of feel like I might end up using them all. I love how these are coming together because I had stickers and some other items in some bins that were about the same size, but they didn't have these little dividers, and the dividers help things to stand up a bit. And look, I have another shirt. Just what I wanted, another t-shirt. Oh, good grief. I have to admit, though, I did wonder where that one was. I was like, I know I still have it. Didn't give it away, so where is it? And now I'm coming across photos, some cards that I have made but not actually used. So I'm going to have this great card collection where I can send cards to people. I've been wanting to do that for, many years. And I will finally be able to make my card sending dreams come true. Here is a book. I am finding things that need to get moved to a different room. That's just part of the process. There are things in each room that belong elsewhere. I can't remember if I mentioned that this white setup here used to be in the living room, and I ended up switching it out for a gray cart that was here in the scrapbook room. And yeah, it's plastic, so it's not super strong, but it will hold paper die cuts, which is what I decided I wanted to use it for. And I love that it's on wheels too, so I can wheel it right next to my desk if I want, or wheel it away when I don't. I love how you're getting to see Clay more in this video. He wasn't really around in the first one as much as in this one. Here I am in a bit of a stupor. But now I've decided, let's slow down and take a little cookie break. These are the cookies that my beloved Cupid loves so much. And then they backed into the tripod, and timber. Things are coming down. Enjoy the drama in slow motion. All right, so look who came and saved the day. Bonnie, as usual. She always saves the day for me. I love it. We are getting to the end of this video, and I have to say a huge thank you to Allie and Bonnie, who helped me out so much. I never, ever, ever would have been able to accomplish this so quickly on my own. This room would have taken me months and months and months. Special thank you to you, though, for watching this long video and hanging in there with me as we didn't quite finish in the first one. I'm going to admit we're still not quite finished today, but I'm really, really pleased with the results that we have so far. Bonnie is, in fact, coming back to help again, so you can look forward to that. I did end up removing a bunch of footage of me solo sorting because otherwise this would have been a behemoth. I would definitely be in probably the hour 40-minute range. I have hung on to that solo sorting footage though, and I am going to put it all together in another video for you next week. Just keep in mind that all this footage has taken place over time. Bonnie and Allie first came over the 3rd week of March, and I have been working in between all of their visits to sort in between so that there was more to do and go through when they returned. And I'm just going through whatever Bonnie brought over to me. I've got a basket. My little Avengers bag is packed with stuff that I am moving to different rooms. I ended up putting photos in the green bag. And there's some other stuff that I know where the storage is, so I am setting that aside. There's more paper. There's just more of all kinds of stuff. But my mood definitely lifted after my realizations. The realizations are still there with me, but now I felt like, okay, I'm going to get there. It's not as far away as I feared it was at one point, and I still have some items to go through to get to the end of round 1. So you're going to see a modified after. There is going to be, I would say, an initial after, and then a bit of a later one that will come a little further down the road when more things have been gone through and put away, and I've set up the little dog station wherever it needs to be, and moved the fireplace wherever it needs to be. Although we're getting into the season where I'm going to need to pull out a fan, so that will be fun. I've used a box fan in the past. I also have a rotating one. I'll have to see which one is better for this room, but I really would like to set up a nice little spot where the dogs can rest and hopefully come to enjoy this room a bit more. I will not be using Cheerios to lure them in here anymore, because my goodness, I had a lot. The Cheerios were really for Cupid. He was such a vocal guy, and he would definitely make his voice known. I would get him in here because of the cookies, but once he was done with the cookies, he kind of wanted to go. He would lay there for, half an hour or so, but yeah, that's when I would start throwing Cheerios at him to get him to maybe stay for a bit longer. I miss him still. I wish that he were here to enjoy this room, but I do have Clay and the new guy, Colt, who can come in here with me, and we'll scrapbook together, or I'll scrapbook while Clay sleeps and Colt tries to get into things, because that's what he does. Such a cutie and a rascal. He definitely keeps me on my toes. Let's start with the before. This is where we started. Before Bonnie came in the 3rd week of April. Yeah, there's clothes, lots of die cuts, and lots of boxes. Oh gosh. I can't even. A bunch of clothes that were just from the washer. I had a little trail that I basically made right before Bonnie came, so she wouldn't fall on the plastic bags on the 2 stairs. And now let's look at the after. Oh, wow. I decided that I wanted to use some little shelves for page display. Here is my table. Bonnie she hung up those magnet boards on the walls so I can actually access them. More of my table. It's looking so good now. We're still a work in progress, remember? There are my water bottles. You knew there had to be some, right? There's this piece. I think I might do something a little bit different right in this spot. But, you know, that's for future me. That's a problem for future me to deal with. Here are where the shelves stand right now. There's still some sorting to do. So we have a sorting station set up here. It's still ready to go. There's this area here in the corner. It's being used to sort as well. But once that is done, I will place some things on there. Oh, giving you a little close-up of some of these things I'm sorting. And let's curl around the room a little bit. Bonnie put together all of these boxes full of my finished pages. She put them in chronological order for me, so I and some friends can just stuff them into albums. I'm excited. Here is this bit. And now you can see those display shelves a little bit better at a different angle. It's just right by the door. I will put my pages up there. So excited about that. And there we are. That's where things stand right now. I'm so pleased with how things turned out. I am not sure how much trash and recycling went out. I do know that I took out that stuff for 3 different days of trash taking. So it was a lot. A lot. This message is for you. The one who thinks that you can't let go of things that you love. That you need to hold it all tightly to you. I loved all of the items in my scrapbook room. But I was able to let go of, I don't even know how many boxes this is. 12? And I did this day after day, letting go of a little at a time. I want you to see how much a little at a time can add up. You can make a difference.